Big show roast recap, of course. I got my coffee. I'm in another hotel room in Chicago. I got a boot over my shoulder. Nobody cares because you want to talk about Tom Brady and Deflategate and Bill Belichick and Kraft and Gronk zoning out in the middle of his thing as only he can. Excellent job by Netflix. We'll dig into that a little bit. RJ Ochoa will be hanging out with us. He's going to get you everything about the Cowboys, the NFC, the whole nine. Matt Steinman. Speaking of NFC, a little Packers love as I excuse me, sit here in my hometown of Chicago wanting to talk about the Bears. Let's go. Oh, also Calvin Johnson on the program. Welcome to the show, everybody. Happy to be here. Derby weekend, such a success. We'll do a little recapping of that maybe in the exclusive YouTube breaks. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Big thanks to Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson for making some time today. He's got a bit of a golf tourney coming up. I was asked to golf in it. What a silly question. I'm a terrible golfer. Whenever I get asked to do any golf tournament stuff, it is just, what can I host? Can I host? Can I help with can I be the beer cart girl? Nobody wants me golfing. I don't want me golfing, but I want to go for the vibes. I want to go support the amazing causes, of course, but people shouldn't ask me to golf in their tournaments. They should ask me to just show up and do the auction. Or I don't know, introduce Neo like I did on stage for Kentucky Derby's FanDuel party on Friday night. That's the kind of stuff that's my comfort zone. I'm right here. Take a couple of shots of tequila, give me a microphone, work the crowd. But instead, I might have to golf with Calvin Johnson. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk draft. I want to talk to Calvin a little bit about Randy Moss from last night with this roast and just the ringless vibe. Calvin doesn't have a ring. He's one of the GOATs, of course. There's a lot of correlation, a lot of things to talk about there. And I guess we should get to like the roast recap. I actually watched a great amount of it. I sort of trailed off once Ben Affleck came out and I just wasn't quite following it as much, but incredible. I think my takeaway is just what a win for Netflix to, do what they do so well and make it the biggest thing possible. It was a blockbuster night. It was A-list stars. The production quality was amazing. Watching it on my phone in a hotel room in Chicago was possible, easy, and actually really enjoyable. It was easy to find. I loved that Netflix, delving into sports entertainment, one of these roasts, and they're going to do it more. I don't understand why they don't do it like once a week, I think would be my question. Like I would love to know, what is the prep time? How long does it take these writers and comedians to get their shit together and put together their jokes, the roast, all of it? Because at this point, after last night, the ability to keep an entire nation, truly sports, entertainment, all of it together, like gripped by it over 3 hours, like it's literally Lord of the Rings, volume 1, 2, or 3. It's, just as long as what the Oscars would be, which people complain about, and nobody was complaining. It was more, give me more. Who else wants to talk? That's hard to do. It is hard to find a collective thing to all meet around that isn't a sports game, that isn't Game 5, that isn't the Super Bowl. These roasts seem to be it. I know it used to be a thing on Comedy Central a lot, but why not do this more? Big win for Netflix, big win for comedy, coming together and saying, then they kept saying it in the beginning to make Brady more comfortable. He clearly said backstage, no fear, we're going to go for it. That was the vibe and the mentality. And we saw that really all night long. I thought the other big, I guess win was, Tom Brady in this. And there's a lot being made of the Kraft and Belichick meeting on stage, fostered by, none other than Kevin Hart, who I thought did a brilliant job handling and juggling. It was a wild night. Gronk, throwing shot glasses at the ground like only Gronk could do. And really, like you could tell an active listener, Kevin Hart, like he was very present in the moment. Sometimes when you're hosting an event like that, you go into the wing and you're like, what's next? What's going on? Give me the rundown, talk in my ear. But he was coming up and riffing off jokes that were made. That is real time stuff. That is him knowing what's going on. And I thought he did such a great job at that. And then trying to bring, Kraft and build together, which I don't know if it was planned or not, probably not. But I think all it made me think was not about how awkward it is and how, devastating these relationships are or whatever. It's really all for Brady. I think it just talks about and is a testament to how much the people around Brady love Brady. Can you say he's a polarizing sports figure? Kind of, like, sure, Jets fans or rings or Deflategate, which he handled so hilariously last night. But can you think of other goats and like what their daises would look like, respectively? The greats of the world, um, or they're villainized more than they're beloved. Like, those are his boys. They ride for him. Edelman, Gronk, Dola, all of the, all of the peripherals, all of their Copen, Light, all of, anybody. Surprised Matt Castle wasn't there. He is so beloved. And for all the animosity between, which exists, it's a real thing between Bill and Tom and Kraft and Bill and all of that. Like, for them to kind of come together, it's hard to do. It's hard to say, I'm going to go to a roast where I'm going to then be vulnerable. They're going to take shots at me all night. We're going to come take a shot. It's awkward. It's live TV. You're not, like the Kim Kardashian coming and hugging Tom Brady. Like, at the end, they didn't even show that. And I think that's because, like, who wants that to be a moment on social? Nobody. We just want to be here and support Tom. But I did think, Hamilton, that it was sort of all made me just wow in Tom's favor of just, you are the greatest to ever do it. You are the most special person, I feel like, for also being this guy who everyone really adores. And he's weird. He's a weird guy, like they were saying, but he's really beloved by all these people who have nothing but respect for him. And I think that's like the win in all of this.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, I was skeptical with, as much as this was hyped up, the attention it was getting, I'll always go in with a little bit of skepticism, but it's hard to have something like this that was built up this much, that had so many prominent people involved, actually, I feel like, exceed the hype. It was so funny, as you said, all these people coming together to support Tom, while also obviously taking some shots at him. But you're right, the outpouring of support there and the reverence that everybody in that room had for him was, it speaks volumes.
Yeah, I thought that one great tweet I saw was that there was, I think it was a journalist, I wish I had his name, but that he kept trying to like translate and transcribe the jokes to like put them on Twitter as they were happening. Like, oh, that's so good. That's so good. Or that's, what did that mean about Deflategate or whatever? But every time he wanted to hit send, he was like, I can't send this. Like, this is a horrid, like, this is so offensive. Like, what do you do? And so I thought that was like a perfect sort of summation of it, that it was like a live in the moment thing. But I really do believe, like, Netflix, as many as we can, like, let's effing go. Because that the amount of time Nikki Glazer just roasted everyone, just shut it down. That was amazing. I thought that was a huge highlight. And I think just bringing those people together for this ruthlessness is it's like a sporting event. It's like must see for me to be captivated by something for longer, for me to go look for something to find it. I'm like, but I feel like everyone, my hairstylist came in this morning and she's not a sports fan, and she's like, it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So I think that was just a big win. And hopefully we have more and more. What else was I going to ask you? I was going to ask you about the fine artwork on your back wall. Do you want
to? I'm at my brother's house in Indianapolis. We have a gingerbread man back there that my nephew made. Looks like some type of starry night, and some crayon scribbles. Some really fine stuff back there. Yeah.
He's giving his best Van Gogh back there with Starry Night. Is that what you just said?
Yep.
Speaking of Starry Night, there's a scene in Ferris Bueller where Starry Night's happening, Van Gogh is happening. You have Ferris Bueller making out with Sloane in that Art Institute portion montage of the movie, and that takes place in Chicago. And that's where I am this morning, and I am going to weasel. And world, I'm weaseling like I haven't weaseled in a while. I'm going to drive my ass to Lake Forest after this, bang on the doors and say, can I just feel the vibes? Can I just feel what this new Bears situation is? Can I maybe see if Cole Kmet or Matt Eberflus would be nice enough to share a word with me, or just let me soak in through osmosis the energy coming out of Lake Forest with this Bears post-draft, and into May we go. I'm very excited about that. If you guys have any questions for me to ask, as I'm in those hallowed halls, let me know at Up and Adam Show. But part of the reason I came here, not just because I couldn't get a direct flight to LA, was because I'm excited about what's going on in this great city, right? Caleb, amazing ovation at the Cubs game this weekend. The city's abuzz. It's amazing. I want to take one last look here before I head out to Lake Forest this afternoon. Like, Ryan Poles has transformed this team. On the left, you got the starting skill players, right? Ryan Pace's last game as a GM. On the right, the projected starters for this season. Cole Kmet, that's why I mentioned him. He's the only constant, okay? Everything else has been totally revamped. Overall, 20 of the Bears' 22 projected starters for the next year are completely different from the ones that we saw take the field in the final game against Pace. So this was all pulled off within 27 months, guys, of Poles taking the job. This is the best plastic surgeon in the game, given the best facelift. That's it. This is next level reconstructive surgery, okay? And while it hasn't led to results on the field yet, you do have to admire the aggressiveness that Pace has in overhauling the whole thing and changing the vibe. Look at this. The Bears are actually, this is insane and amazing. They're getting minus odds to make the playoffs over on FanDuel Sportsbook. They're getting better odds than the Rams are. Super Bowl team recently, McVay, the perception of this squad in Chicago is really shifting, and I cannot wait to get there to experience what's going on firsthand. And the Bears are the only team making a dramatic turnaround, though. Are we going to talk Texans, or should we move on? We're going to go to break. Okay, we're going to go to break. We've got a lot to talk to about with the Texans. We're going to talk the other Texas team, the Cowboys, with RJ Ochoa. He is joining us. We've got Matt Schneidman. He's got the Packers covered. A little Chicago talk there, of course, with him. And then Calvin Johnson will be our final guest on the show. Maybe I'll roast him when you write some jokes. Hamilton. Kentucky Derby, let's do it. Fried pickles, never had them. Pretty delicious. I thought they'd be soggy. They weren't. 7 out of 10. What's up, concession people? Shout out. Hot day for them. Hot jalapeno popper for me. I mean, this is a 10 out of 10. It always slams. Absolutely delicious. Let's see. This dude was very chatty. I believe this is a hot and brown. It was basically mac and cheese with a bunch of stuff on it. I hate bacon, so I ate around it. But yeah, kind of can't go wrong. 7 out of 10. That's just me dancing around with some shrimp and grits after some mint juleps. Delicious. We're in the South, Churchill Downs, shout out, spires in the background, 9 out of 10. Had to smoke a cigar. It's probably why my voice sounds like this. Almost lit my face on fire. Looked like an idiot, but I had to give the whole experience an 8 out of 10, and we ended up with Woodford Reserve, $1,000 mint julep. Shout out to them, a 10 out of 10 every time. All right, Roast of Tom Brady went viral, still is. Eli saying, I thought about attending the Roast of Tom Brady last night, but I did not want to roast him for for a third time. A couple of jokes made, of course, about that, but Brady was not spared. It was a full-on gauntlet. I don't know like what else they could have said to him. Was anything left on the writer's floor? Like anything crumpled up on some, college ruled yellow legal pad in the corner there. They brought it. What did you guys think of Tom last night? I have not watched it. I actually fell asleep before, so I've not seen Tom's recap of the roast. Maybe RJ Ochoa has, my friend, as we check in on all things Dallas Cowboys, all things NFC, all things NFL. Did you enjoy the roast? Did you watch any of it?
I did. I'm not a big roast fan. Like I haven't seen a lot of them. So I don't know if this one was particularly intense relative to the normal ones, but yeah, I got a question signing up for this. Tom was definitely not spared.
He wasn't, but isn't that why it's great? Because can't you imagine Tom Talk sitting in a boardroom negotiating this stuff with Netflix? And it's like, if you're going to water it down, don't do it. It's pointless. I'm going to look like I told you to spare me. I'm going to look like I had too much control. So it almost had to be this 11 out of 10 onslaught, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of been who Tom's been like in the public for the last few years, maybe like the last decade. Like he really leans into everything, whether it's that or like when he did the match. I mean, he is, fully vulnerable, I guess. Strange word to use for one of the most perfect human beings ever. And to your point, that makes the whole thing feel more authentic, which is what you want from something like that.
Yeah, vulnerability, a great thing. What was a standout moment to you? And I, by the way, did not see the Brady roast part yet. So I did not see him actually getting to take shots at people. How did he do?
I think that Tom can hang, and that's, part of his charm and part of what is great about him and annoying about him and what makes the whole or made the whole evening really unique and special. So I would encourage you to watch it. Certainly. I know you will when you have time. Tom was a good sport and is not going to hold back when he gets the opportunity to return serve.
Love it. You're here with Blogging the Boys, of course. RJ Ochoa, love having you here on the show. You know who could also do a pretty good job of roasting is Micah Parsons. He has been living his life this offseason. I believe he's in Kyoto, or he was at one point. He's in Tokyo, too, throwing out the first pitch at a Giants game, which has been absolutely amazing. He took on some sumo wrestlers, as I believe we're seeing here, too. All right, that's a pretty good pitch. Okay, this is wild. Here he is. Which surprised you more, Micah getting tossed by a sumo wrestler or not being able to reach the catcher?
I would say definitely getting tossed by the sumo wrestler. Micah is a unique athlete, but I wouldn't put baseball among the things that I would, kind of peg him for being amazing at. So getting, tossed around by a sumo wrestler right away, I wouldn't have expected that. Obviously, sumo wrestlers are professionals and understand what they're doing. And it makes sense, though, in the entire clip that Micah wanted another chance and wanted to make sure. Micah's the dude who like has to go inside off of a make. He's shooting hoops in his front yard in the driveway. He refuses to go in off of a miss.
Yeah, he refuses to not sort of share his opinion on everything. He was not shy about what he felt about the Dallas Cowboys in the draft, during the draft, after the draft, wanting a big boy at running back, all of that. How has that gone over with the fan base?
It's a great question. And I think after the Tyler Guyton pick, this, as you know, has been an offseason where every Cowboys fan has been just so starved for something, anything positive. And the pick was, one that I think most people really liked. And the fact that Dallas traded down kind of made it all the more great. And so in the moment, I really, my own pulse was that nobody was really down on it. And so to see Micah doing that, I do think rubbed people the wrong way. I think people, people have opinions and people want to see players act one way and act another. And part of what's great about Micah is that he is so vocal, that he has a podcast, that he's always going to share his opinion on things. But I do think that people would have loved to have seen a little bit more approval in the beginning. It felt like a little bit of a necessary thing. At least that was my vibe from the fan base.
Do you think Jerry cares? Like obviously outspoken players and you just like what the world, one world would label as distractions as players, that rubs certain ownership the wrong way. But now we're in a new world of podcasting and Twitter and social media. Like, does any of this irk the front office or coaching staff at all?
I would say maybe it's an isolated thing. Things like that are a little bit more flagrant, and even that's a heavy word, versus other times, Mike has obviously been hanging out with CJ Stroud a lot. CJ had that clip of, dissecting whatever. I have to imagine the McNairs love that, right? Like stuff like that is really cool. But there is no shortage of that when it comes to the Cowboys, whether it's a podcast or jumping on somebody else's podcast or just tweeting thoughts about NBA games or whatever the case may be. I think the Cowboys, they love that and they lean into it. I do think if you want to call it disapproval, comes more from fans who and some of that is just pent up frustration from the team not accomplishing anything. And so they feel like if you're recording a podcast, that's an hour that you could have spent watching film and ridiculous things like that. And so I think that Jerry Jones is probably down with his players having every opportunity, because that's what being a Dallas Cowboys is all about in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and the business is booming, running mouths, but how about running backs? Talk to me about this, because they don't take an RB, part of the gripes of Micah Parsons. Then they bring back Zeke Elliott, who spent 7 seasons in Dallas. So here's the current running back room, right? Where do you stand with this Zeke reunion? Can you sell me on it being the right decision? And am I confident in this running back room, ?
I think in a vacuum, Zeke is a player who can contribute to an NFL team in 2024. Obviously, the history here is unique, and the run you're showing right now is one of the longest runs of his career. That was the very first kind of breakaway touchdown he had back in his rookie year in 2016. And so it does feel a little bit like the Cowboys made this premeditated decision to bring Zeke back before the draft. And like the Jonathan Brooks chatter was just, fluff or whatever the case may be. You can accuse the Cowboys of having favorites. They're not going to lie and say that Zeke Elliott is not one of their favorites. They talked about it many times throughout their pre-draft press conference and even during the draft, obviously. And so it does feel a little bit like, hey, we're bringing Boy Meets World back, but Corey and Topanga are the parents, and, Mr. Feeney's still around. It feels like a weird reunion in that way. And so I do think some people are jaded about the Cowboys, and some people are still really nostalgic, and a lot of people are super excited. But the most predictable thing ever would be that he would change jersey numbers and the Cowboys would have an opportunity to sell a whole bunch of Zeke Elliott 15s now that that's what he's going to be wearing. It's very chalk for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think people are just kind of not rolling their eyes at that, but people accept what this franchise is and what it offers. And that is a different and independent thing than that Zeke really and legitimately can't contribute to somebody this year.
I love that. I love you. I love a Boy Meets reference thing. Like, take me to Chubby's and get me those fries and a shake. Okay, the Cowboys, they are staring down extensions, my friend, for Micah, for CD, and Dak Prescott. Of those 3 players, which of those extensions do you think that the Cowboys need to prioritize most? And what do you predict will actually happen?
I would say Dak. I mean, Dak is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, regardless of what people in the comment section on any site tend to say. He also is the only one that they don't have any kind of fail-safe with. CeeDee Lamb is entering the final year of his contract, but they do have the ability to franchise tag him, obviously, next offseason if it comes to that. Micah Parsons is only entering his 4th year in the NFL, and the Cowboys have already exercised his 5th-year option. There are fewer grains of sand in the Dak Prescott hourglass, and that's why he has to be the priority in my mind, aside from the fact that he plays the most important position, and without him, you're more lost than the others. All due respect, obviously, to CeeDee and to Micah. And that would be my prediction. It would have been wonderful if the Cowboys had done this back in February or March and been able to capitalize on the cap space generated by it, but that's clearly not their MO. And that's obviously to the frustration of many people. So I'd guess, Dak Prescott's birthday often coincides with training camp. They were looking at some sort of extension, maybe in the early days of Oxnard, and all this talk feels a little bit silly and meaningless and in the past. And hopefully a CeeDee Lamb one follows, shortly thereafter, and hopefully not after Justin Jefferson's gotten paid, Jamar Chase has gotten paid. It's there are a lot of balls in the air for the Cowboys, and we've been kind of urging them to reconsider their position on a lot of those, but you know how things tend to go.
If it doesn't get done before the season with Dak, what happens?
I mean, Dak is in a very, very powerful position, right? I mean, we saw the money that Kirk Cousins obviously commanded on the open market and has commanded on the open market twice, even when he initially joined the Minnesota Vikings. And so, Dak has the potential to do that and to, do so in his early 30s and with all this attention, especially if he plays well again, and all this kind of favor working behind him is winning his sales. And so I would offer that if this doesn't get done, before the season, at that point, I'd start to kind of personally accept that he's probably moving on in 2025 because he'd be so close to it. I don't know how you could convince him to not, at the very least, entertain offers from anybody else, because we kind of haven't seen that in the NFL. A quarterback in the prime of their career reaching true free agency. Yes, Kirk Cousins. Yes, Peyton Manning even, but obviously he was coming off of the injury. I mean, he could, he's got a daughter now, and, he's obviously an incredible businessman. He has the potential to do something historic and something that would be historic for the position and for players in general. And Dak has obviously always been about empowerment on a lot of levels. So if it doesn't happen, my own personal deadline that I put on it, the Cowboys return to Frisco for a portion of training camp. If they're back from California without it done, because they do tend to historically do big time extensions while in California, that's when I would kind of really reach DEFCON 1, and it would start to feel like this was going south.
Great answer. I'm glad I asked that last one to you. Where can we support you, RJ? Because there's been a couple shakeups, a couple things, but you're killing it. You're going to continue to kill it. Where can we support Blogging the Boys and RJ Ochoa?
Obviously, bloggingtheboys.com. I appreciate that, Kay. Is kind of our hub for everything, all my written work and all of my staff's written work. My Twitter and Instagram at RJ Ochoa kind of serve as hubs for everything I do. We do still have the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel going. So you search Blogging the Boys, you can subscribe right there, and you can see me chatting about the Cowboys. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. Great job at the Kentucky Derby, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Great job drinking and being sloppy all weekend. Thanks, RJ. You're the best. Thanks for the info and the intel. As always, really keeping our eyes on Dak and on Jordan Love. When's he getting paid? From Dallas to the team that, oh, I guess this is a team that kind of ups. So I should let you two roast each other. We've got covering the Packers for The Athletic, the host of the Brick and the Stick podcast, Matt Schneidman. Thanks for joining us. Quick thoughts on the Brady roast. Go.
Yeah, I didn't watch it last night, but I'm about 2.5 hours through it this morning. I stopped right before Brady's part, but I thought it was really good. Really, really good.
Who was watching shit for 3 hours? That's not even the team you cover. Like, what is it about? Like, I watched it. For me to watch anything for longer than 20 minutes is like a miracle. Mother Teresa is like doing work up there or something. But what is so captivating that's got you watching for that long? It's crazy.
I think it's just these figures throughout NFL history, like Brady and Belichick, who have been so secluded, and we feel like we don't know anything about them, and it humanizes them. And it's really funny too. And obviously there's some comedians mixed in, but I thought Julian and Bill were easily the two best roasters up there.
Why Bill?
I think he could go up there and say anything and people would find it funny, but like Danny Amendola, when he said in the documentary that Bill should have, kept Brady, or he trashed Bill for getting rid of Brady, and then Bill goes up there and makes fun of Danny Amendola for having 200 receiving yards in a season, or he's just going at people. And it was like when Bill went on McAfee's show for the draft. We just haven't seen that side of him, so it's pretty cool.
So you got to watch. It's amazing. So Brady, I think Brady won last night. I know he got roasted. Everyone's like, oh, why do you sign up for that? Because it's amazing. It was incredible. And he's so beloved by everyone, and such a G for just sitting there and taking all of that. Giselle, on the other hand, I feel bad for this morning, but that's another story for another day. Let's talk about your Packers. Is anyone having a better offseason than Jordan Love? He's rocking with A.J. Dillon, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. There was the Bucs playoff games. I said after the season, before the draft, when I was making my whole window comment, whatever, I just want to see Jordan Love hanging out with these receivers. I want to hear about them like at the club, fishing, doing whatever, like taking a bike ride around Appleton, Wisconsin, like something. I want to see them hanging out. The new rookies are saying they're starstruck meeting Jordan Love. New contract incoming. What do you make of it?
Yeah, he's the face of this franchise now. And it's funny because he's only played like 8 good games for this team, but he's going to get paid probably near $50 million per year. He's eligible to sign an extension now. He was eligible as of May 3rd, so only a couple days ago. But he's going to get paid. That's the price of doing business in the NFL. He looks like their franchise quarterback. They think he can be their franchise quarterback. I'm not saying for the next 20 years like Aaron was, but for the next 10 plus years. Now, this could look like a bargain if they pay him $50 million a year. There's, only a couple guys making that much. I believe it's Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts are the only 4 guys making above $50 million a year. And obviously Jordan Love doesn't have kind of the resume that those guys do, but that's the price of doing business in this league. Salaries are going to keep going up. And, I love Aaron. I have nothing bad to say about how he treated me, but I think Packer fans do like how Jordan Love's not, in a cabin in Oregon somewhere and out on the golf courses here in Wisconsin. And, he has a celebrity softball game for charity that he's doing this Friday in town. So I think people like the breath of fresh air that he brings here.
So you mentioned the 8, it was really a 7-game stretch, right? 7 incredible game stretch to end the season. Aaron Jones was a big part of that. So I know it's the cost of doing business. What do you think is keeping Goody and company up at night with this contract? Like, what is the one thing that's kind of like giving them butterflies as the process of getting him paid continues to drag on?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that's giving them butterflies. Brian Gutekunst, who is very, guarded and reserved with a lot of stuff he says to us. He's very politically correct. He's been open, saying he wants to get Jordan Love paid. He finds it important to have security at the most important position in sports. They're not going to let Jordan Love, I wouldn't imagine, go into the last year of his contract because, a couple of years ago, Davante Adams wanted a contract extension before the 2021 season, and he said, I'm not negotiating during the season. I want to focus on football. He played out the last year of his contract. It wasn't the last year of his contract, but played that out, and then they franchise tagged him. Then he got traded. So they're not going to let Jordan Love do that. I'm not saying they're going to trade him, but I don't think it's anything that's keeping him up at night. I think they just want to, make sure they get it right. There's really no rush. I would be surprised if Jordan Love plays in a game or maybe even a joint practice without a new contract. David Mulugeta, who has a bunch of high-profile clients, is his agent, and I'd imagine that he's advising Jordan not to, play in any games before he has that long-term security. But Goody said to us in Orlando at the owners' meetings, we're not going to rush this. We want to make sure we get it right, but it is important to us to have him locked up.
Is there any? So you're saying there's no butterflies for Goody. What about the fan base? Because isn't it? I mean, Goody's had his sort of, I want to call it drama. There's always something, right, with some player contracts in the past. Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, like you mentioned, even Aaron Jones this offseason. Like, is there nervousness from that side, like from the fan side of like, hey, Goody, let's get this deal done with no drama?
I don't think from that regard. I think more of the anxiety is this guy's only played half a good season for us, and we're about to make him one of the 5 highest paid players in NFL history in terms of, average annual salary. Mm-hmm. I think the other half is like, okay, we understand Jordan Love can be really good. We understand if we pay him this now and 5 years down the line when he's still under contract, or 4 years down the line, whatever it is, this could look like a bargain. Like with Davante Adams, when he wanted a new extension, he was like the 14th highest paid wide receiver. And that was after back-to-back all-pro seasons, I believe. So if Jordan Love signs this contract and then goes on to, I don't know, win a Super Bowl, make an all-pro team, and then he's the 8th, 9th highest paid quarterback in 3 years while he's still under contract, it's going to look like a bargain. And I think the majority of people realize that this is, like I said, just the cost of doing business. And sure, there's some trepidation with signing a guy to a contract like that when he's only done half a season worth of work warranting that kind of money. It could end up like a Daniel Jones situation.
Yeah, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking about like Goody. Do we trust Goody to get this deal done?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it's different than Davante. They've replaced kind of Davante Adams' production, not him specifically, but with like Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs.
And Aaron's different than everybody, so it's hard to like lump that into that as well. Great. So we feel good about that. That's going to happen at some point, and that'll be great. Now I'm hearing Packers fans, who I love, are saying Super Bowl. Super Bowl is the expectation. Is that fair? Is that reasonable?
I think it's fair to expect that. This quote unquote rebuild happened a lot quicker than anyone thought around here. They were beating the 49ers going into the fourth quarter of that divisional round game and outplayed them for most of the game, and then kind of fell apart there with a missed field goal and letting them march right down the field in the fourth quarter. They tidied up a couple holes this offseason, hired a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, the head coach from Boston College, who we'll be talking to later today, and then drafted a couple guys that will probably start week 1 in the first couple rounds. But they feel that they are returning an offensive and defensive nucleus, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that can get them there. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl favorite right now, but heck, they were not far away from, making the NFC Championship game, and then they would have gone to Detroit where they won, a month prior. So it's not crazy to say that the Packers can be in the mix for a Super Bowl.
Ooh, we'd love to see it. It all, of course, kicks off in Brazil against the Eagles on September 6th. Very excited about that, and excited to hopefully see you there. Will you go?
I will. My flight's already booked. I've been getting safety tips for managing Brazil. But I am excited to go. It'll be the longest flight I've ever been on. I'm not excited about that. I don't really like flying in terms of being on the plane for too long, but I'm ready to go.
Matt, we have a lot to look forward to. Check it out and follow Matt Steinman with everything with The Athletic. And please listen to the Brick and the Stick podcast as well with John Kuhn. Thank you, my friend. Talk soon.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Kay.
Packers to the Super Bowl. Thanks for giving me so much love about the Oval Office, that beautiful strip club in the Green Bay area. We'll be back with Calvin Johnson. I'm not going to ask you about strip clubs in Detroit, in Green Bay, in Chicago. I'm not even going to mention Chicago because last time you did not like that. We're going to talk to Megatron after this. He's just my favorite, and he's back. 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, record-breaking wide receiver / superhero, Megatron, proud member of the Pride of Detroit, all-time Lions great. How are you? Get in here.
Doing great. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you again. Sad I missed you in Detroit. Can't wait to get into all of it. Tom Brady gets roasted yesterday. I mean, they gave it to him, Calvin. They did. They had all these comedians. Peyton Manning came out and Belichick roasted him, and it was heavy. They came after his ex-wife, like the whole nine. If you were getting roasted in front of millions of people, what would be like? Who would you be most worried about on stage on the dais that would come up and start talking about you?
Either Nate Burleson or anybody in my family.
Why Nate?
Man, Nate knows too much.
And Nate will go there. Nate will go there just for the moment. I think you're right. That's what Hamilton and I were talking about. I go, Nate would absolutely destroy Megatron in that sort of situation. It'd be pretty. Do you think Snoop Dogg would be at your roast?
Oh man, yeah, Snoop. Yeah, of course we should have same name.
What do you think? What do you think you would get roasted about the most? Like they came after Tom for Deflategate and Giselle and all that. What would they roast you about the most, do you think?
Probably the whole debacle in Chicago. I think that was
Hmm.
probably the biggest thing, one of the biggest things I had.
Yeah, they'd probably dig into that a little bit. There was a lot of talk about rings last night. I know you didn't get to see it, but Randy
Oh
Moss was
yeah,
great as he
yeah.
is. Everybody was just lighting him up for not having a ring. And he himself kept talking about when he was on at the mic about not having a ring. So I sort of wanted to ask you because you also, I mean, you don't have a ring, but I don't know if I believe that you care that much. What does not having a ring mean to you?
I mean, that's what you get hyped for. It's what you get up for at the beginning of every season. And what drives you at the beginning of every season is a whole reset. It's a whole new opportunity for each and every team and each and every player to go out there and, and shine and put a good story on camera for themselves. But, in Detroit, it's unfortunate, and for my story, not being able to have one, I'm just fortunate enough to be able to, put out the kind of play that I did that ended me up in the Hall of Fame. It's tough not to be able to share that kind of that moment or that 1 year with your team that I imagine every team has at the end of each season.
And you're kind of like Randy in that way, where Randy looks around and he goes, Edelman, Gronk, Brady, and you say Stafford, Reggie Bush, Sue, like these guys sort of have a ring. I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about the background of it, but I was just thinking about it this morning. Like, did you chase a ring? Do you feel like like with the Lions, like Randy left and went to try making something else happen? Like, were they just not willing to let you go try to chase a ring?
No, I think when it came to the time for me to resign to Detroit, that was a big part of me resigning in Detroit. I knew we had some key figures that could help us get to that ring. Obviously not talking about myself. We had Matthew, obviously, what he did. We had Suit. He's been on, I think, a couple himself. We've had other characters that went on to win Super Bowls on that team. So we had the pieces. It just mattered, like I say, getting it all over to meld together.
Yeah, the draft was insane. If you were playing there now, you probably would win a ring because that looks like that's where the Lions are headed. You're so supportive of them and the city. It's amazing to see. What was it like? Just tell me what the draft was like. Barry Sanders, you, Eminem, Jared Goff, Aiden Hutchinson, everybody backstage.
Man, that was so cool. Eminem, Goodell, all of us just back there bantering, having a good time. Just being able to have that camaraderie at the end of the day. That's what we miss. That's what everybody misses after the game is done. You don't miss the running. You don't necessarily miss the practice. You miss the time that you get to spend with your brothers. So being able to spend that time with those guys and having a good back and forth, it was awesome. But just seeing Detroit though, walking down that stage, whew, man, I've never seen that before. That sea of people, 275,000, however many it was. Man, I really couldn't tell where I was in Detroit because there's so many people out there.
It looked so intense and so fun, like a concert. It just looked amazing. And you got your wish too, not just hanging out with your boys again, but your wish for the Lions was to beef up the defense, Calvin. And they did that. 2 corners in a row. Terry and Arnold, my favorite. And then, they get Wingo, all of that. So Terry and Mackay came on my show. They were amazing. I loved getting to know them, like the human side of them, which is what I care about the most. I've heard great things about both and everybody that they took. What is the review of the 2024 Lions draft, according to Calvin Johnson?
I'm happy. Like you said, you already said you started off like the way they started off the draft. I was excited they were able to, shore up that back end, solidify that, any kind of leakage happened. And not saying that there was, but just tighten that up. And we've seen young corners be able to come in this league and have success early. So I look forward to getting over there and meeting those guys myself, and looking forward to seeing those guys ball out.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the end. You guys can tweet the show at Up and Adam Show if you have any questions for Megatron. Yeah, Terry and Arnold, love him. Love that you guys are so welcoming of him. I think he's like the coolest guy in the entire draft. But this TikTok made me laugh. Okay, the message sort of struck me. He called Detroit the best situation. How cool is it that the Lions are being called the best situation when years ago, I mean, Taylor Lewan has said it. Gronk has said it on my show. Gronk, they told Gronk at one point they were going to trade him to the Lions, and he said, "I'll retire."
People came to Detroit when I was first got here to end their careers. That was what was said. It was like the graveyard.
Mhm.
If you go into Detroit, though, that's the end. But now, you have a young coach and Dan. You have a player coach. You have a ton of player coaches. Guys want to be in that. They want to be involved with that. They want to be, coached by somebody that's been there and done the things that they want to do. So, that kudos to what they're building here in Detroit and that staff and organization.
I didn't get to ask you last time before we continue with the draft stuff. I didn't get to ask you about Amon-Ra and his extension. And just as, the legend receiver you are, what do you think that means for this offense? And maybe just like specifically what he adds that makes him unique.
Yeah, you can't let a piece like that go, man. He's just Mr. Consistency. He is our number one. So you got to have that here. You got to have that on any offense. And it's just fortunate. You don't want to take for granted that we have somebody as consistent as him, especially they're playing with Goff. So that's beautiful. And then we're gonna have other pieces to add on to it. Other guys, we got other tools, on offense too. But you gotta have that steady number one. And Amon-Ra, he is it for us.
And I've asked you a lot of Detroit questions. Can I ask you one Chicago one?
We'll have at it.
Well, I just know I hit you with a lot of them before the draft, but the thought about him as a generational talent, Caleb Williams, and potential, and then getting a receiver, like it happened. He got Rome, he's got that, he's got Keenan, he's got DJ Moore, who puts up 1,000 yards with anybody throwing him the ball. What do you make of Caleb Williams' realistic expectations for this season?
Oh, man, everybody, thinks that, he could do it because we saw Stroud do it last year. He's like, oh, man, anybody could do it, but that's so hard what Stroud did last year to come out and have that kind of success and command. But he does have the opportunity. He has the potential. We could put it at that. He has the opportunity in front of him. Just to see what he does with that opportunity. It's not going to be easy because we have obviously the Lions standing in his way. Green Bay, they're coming together, and Minnesota's always. The division's tough. It's a tough division to have success, and you're going to get hit as a quarterback. So, it's just we'll have to see. I'm not going to say kudos to him or good luck to him because I just can't do that. But hey, you got to just hold on to the ball now. That's all I can say to you. Hold on to the ball.
What do you mean? He's got to hold on to the ball? Because the receivers can definitely hold on to the ball. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. Who's the wide receiver one there?
I think you have to go with experience. Let experience take over there, and then as the young talent evolves, let that happen. Let that happen naturally, organically.
I feel like they might have the best trio in the league. I guess you've got who's better, OBJ, Tyreek, and Jalen down with the Dolphins. I guess that would be the best trio.
That's pretty solid too. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, Tua's got to get it going. Sean McVay, let's ask about Matt Stafford here. He said this weekend, we're taking it a year at a time. But as long as Matthew Stafford wants to be our quarterback, he'll be our quarterback. This quarterback. He's your quarterback. His work ethic. How much gas he has left, better than any of us. I am an idiot. I've been saying for years now he's done. I thought after the Super Bowl, it might be his last year. I can't believe that, he's been in the league since 2009. He was drafted 2 years after you. You hung it up in 2015. How many more seasons? How much more gas does he have left?
I know he could still play. How much does he have? He's looking better than he did when he played with us, man. He's a little chubby when he was playing with us, man. Look at him, he's all slim and all that. But no, he's definitely taking care of himself. So as long as he's doing that, the quarterbacks, as long as you're getting taken care of, you're not hitting the ground too much. You really can play as long as you want, as long as you're taking care of your body too. So if his line is taking care of him, we'll see. If they're not taking care of him, he might be ready. It's not going to increase him to want to prolong his career there if he's not being taken care of by his offensive line.
Is there a wide receiver that went in the draft that you like there where they went a lot? Like you were like, he's going to ball out.
All right. Well, let's list off where did they go? Harrison went to
Rome went to Chicago.
Went to Arizona.
Yeah.
Where did Neighbors go?
Cardinals.
Where did you say Neighbors go?
Malik Neighbors to the Giants.
He went to the Giants. I mean, I
Nothing.
like Arizona for him
Marvin.
being out there yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's a big opportunity for him in that quarterback out there. I see. You know, I think he could definitely gonna lean on him.
I want
Really
to
gonna
ask you,
lean on him there.
JJ Watt. Okay, so he said this weekend, he of
Yeah.
course retired famously. He says this weekend he's gonna keep like all honestly, other than Calvin, you're like the last dude that ever freaking retired from the NFL. Because these kids and Tom Brady and Gronk and now JJ Watt, like they retire, but they don't. Then they keep the door open and they whatever. He's saying he's keeping the door a little bit open for return to the Texans. Okay. He said that he might come back. Why is it so hard for guys to close the door completely? And why was it so easy for you?
Why is it so hard? I mean, it's a total change of lifestyle. You know, I was looking forward to the time where I could go sit on my couch and not do anything because of the level of work that I put into it because I wanted to start a family. I mean, my goals had changed. You know, so unless you really change your goals or things that you want to do with your life and lifestyle, then it's kind of hard to just stop doing something that you've been doing for your entire being if you've been playing sports your whole life.
Yeah, when I hear these stories about leaving the door open and you know how hard it would be to train to get your body back, like what should I think? That they're just having, most players are just having a tough time doing it?
Well, I mean, if they feel like, for me, I can tell you my experience. Like I
Yeah.
knew after my 8th year, I was like, man, this is too much for me to get back to be able to be the person and guy that I've been out there for all those years. It's going to be too much. The training, the level of training that I went through, I don't want to do it anymore. It hurts. It doesn't. It takes too much from me now. I don't enjoy it. And that's for them. I guess that's the conscious decision that I guess has to be made. It's like, man, it's a level of work I have to put into it. Do I love it enough to do it?
Did you not love it enough?
I didn't want. I told myself when I started this thing, I'm not going to be the guy out there that's just out there collecting the check because I could have been out there and just dragging along, but I want to be the guy that was making an impact. And I couldn't be out there just that wasn't me. I wouldn't love what I was doing. And if I don't love what I'm doing, I feel like that this is one industry or playing football. If you don't love what you're doing, that's how you get hurt playing out here.
Yeah, and that's why you're amazing because you are who you are and you've always stood on that and you do things that you're passionate about like Primitive. So let's talk about this. Your CBD brand, you're killing it. You're everywhere. And now what is this I hear about a Detroit Tigers partnership?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's part of our goal just to be able to work with professional organizations, professional athletes, put our products in their hands. And, to get to this point, there's a lot of work to be able to get to the point to be able to get your NSF for sport, get that global nod to be able to work with professional collegiate athletes. But we undertook that journey, somewhat about a year ago. Understanding what we needed to do to get here. And, we felt like it was important for us to be able to, still remove the stigma from, just plant medicine and cannabis and cannabinoids in general. And that's why we're here, because there's a lot of power in this plant. And we're excited to be able to launch, this product in our transdermal topical, with the Detroit Tigers and to spread the news, and working with other professional athletes and teams, to come in the future.
This is huge. Your CBD brand, something that when you were still playing was so stigmatized, just the 3 letters were like shocking, no, whatever. Your brand that you created has a partnership with an official MLB team. You are approved by all the big boys at the big table. Like Goodell's got to listen to the CBD talk and it's like welcomed. And now it's like working in partnership to help protect the players, which was your goal the entire freaking time. It is amazing watching your dreams sort of come into fruition before your eyes. Congratulations on that partnership. I can't imagine that was easy to do, and it took a long time to make happen. And I know that I just heard about this Catching Dreams weekend for your foundation. Okay, there's a scholarship involved, there's a football camp, and there's a golf tournament. I'm trying to go out there, but Calvin, I'm not going to golf. So like, what else? Beer cart girl, I was bartender. How can I help?
I mean, you don't have to golf. You just come and look pretty. People will love your conversation. People watch your show, so people will just love you. I tell people all the time that don't golf, it's just really just a camaraderie at the end of the day. it's just the connections that are made. So, whether you're golfing or not, that's great. Somebody will don't worry, somebody will take your shot. Don't worry, just get somebody an extra shot. And, I told you, last time you said, if I can maybe entice you if I get you one of the pink little crop top joints. So I got plenty of them for you. I got plenty of things for you, just come on up.
Okay, I'm going to come out because it's for such a good cause. As long as I don't have to golf, because I'll be like the shot that's on the tee. I'll just do like what you said. I'll just look pretty. I'll get everybody really drunk for you, so they open up their pocket and you start writing those checks for your foundation. Calvin, you're the absolute best, and I'll see you. When is that? July?
The whole weekend is July 13th through the 15th. We have on the 13th we'll have my gala. I have my free camp on the 14th, and then on Monday the 15th is the golf tournament.
Okay, well, I'm going to try to work it out so that I'm out there. Maybe we'll do the show from there. Who knows? We appreciate you, Calvin. Thank you so much. You're the best. Congrats on all the exciting stuff with Primitive.
Appreciate you supporting our cause. It's much appreciated.
Always, always. All right, we'll be back after this. We will shut down the show then. I'll give you guys my review of the Derby. I could have used some Primitive on my head, on my joints, whatever. After that crazy weekend in Kentucky, we'll be back after this. Are we on YouTube right now? Hey, everybody. What's up, YouTube? Hi, YouTube. Let me look at my YouTube comments. How's everyone doing this morning? How much time do we have? Hello, everyone. Kay does know her strengths, and her strength is not.
I always introduce him as this is my friend Tom Brady. He lost 3 Super Bowls, 80 games, and he threw 100 interceptions. I just don't tell Tom about the 7 Super Bowls and the other things. That's it.
$1,000 or $5,000 mint julep, you get that show.